The hardest part in your financial journey will be going from $0 to $10,000. And the reason is because at this stage, all you're really doing is just fighting the current, and let's call this current life. The current of life is pushing you as hard as it can to keep you from moving forward by throwing surprises, obstacles, and temptations your way to keep you stuck and prevent you from getting ahead. At this stage, it can feel like the world is against you. However, the truth is the world isn't against you, but the world just doesn't care if you fall behind. The world doesn't care if you don't have enough to cover rent, can't afford real food, or need the time to catch your breath. It's gonna keep moving whether you are ready or not, and going from $0 to $10,000 is the phase of your journey where you do not have the tools to navigate this wild, crazy world. You're not just trying to get ahead, but you're also trying to survive everything that life throws at you. However, this phase is only temporary and it does get easier. And so in this video, I want to share 5 reasons why your first 10,000 is the hardest and share some possible solutions that can help you make it through this difficult financial phase and hopefully see the other side. And so let's start off with the first reason. You're starting from scratch. Probably the number one reason why this phase is the hardest is because you're starting from nothing. And by nothing, I don't just mean starting with $0. But you're also starting without the knowledge required to get ahead financially. Chances are you don't know how to budget, track your spending, manage your money, consistently save, be disciplined, have good habits, and you might not even believe in yourself. Starting your financial journey is sort of like traveling to a foreign country where you don't speak the language, know how to get around in the social norms. It's overwhelming first landing in a foreign place because you're completely out of your element. However, if you've ever traveled before, you know that give it a few days and you'll start figuring it out. You'll learn key phrases, figure out your way around, and gain confidence. This is the exact same with finances. When you arrive to the world of finances, you are clueless. You don't know how things work and you don't know where to start. It can feel overwhelming. However, just like traveling, if you're willing to be curious, uncomfortable, and open-minded, you'll eventually figure it out. And so if you are at this stage where everything seems overwhelming and foreign, just know that it is okay to not have all the answers. There's nothing wrong with you because nobody starts their financial journey with a complete roadmap. Instead, at this stage, you have to become a student and seek out the answers by educating yourself, asking questions, making mistakes, and taking action. And it's a process, but as you do these things, eventually, finances won't feel foreign anymore and you'll get the hang of it. And just like learning to navigate your finances, whether you're in a foreign place or in this digital world, the right tools can make all the difference, which is why I'm excited to talk about Surfshark VPN, who is the sponsor of today's video. In case you don't know, a VPN is a tool that helps keep you safe online. Think about it like this. When you're browsing the internet without a VPN, it's basically just you in the open web, which can leave you vulnerable for hackers, websites, and the government to see your information. But when you use a VPN like Surfshark, it's like putting a shield between you and the open web, hiding your location, encrypting your data, and making your activity private, so these third parties can't see what you're doing. And one way this comes in handy is when you're traveling. Say you're in another country and want to watch your favorite show on Netflix, but it's not available in that region. All you have to do is switch your location to the US in the VPN and you can watch it. Another benefit of a VPN is say you're using public Wi-Fi, like working in a coffee shop. You have Surfshark between you and the public Wi-Fi, making you more protected and less vulnerable to third parties. And what I like about Surfshark is they also have a lot of other features, like their antivirus scanner that can scan my computer to detect if there are any viruses on it. To stay safe online, click on the link in my description or go to surfshark.com/AustinDeal to get an extra 4 months added on to your plan free of charge. And you can try it completely risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's surfshark.com/AustinDeal. Now back to the video. The second reason why your first 10K is the hardest is because every setback is huge. As I explained in the beginning of this video, going from $0 to $10,000 is all about fighting the current of life, with surprises, obstacles, and temptations preventing you from moving forward. And when you're at the beginning of your journey, every setback feels massive. Every setback hits you 1,000 times harder than someone who is financially stable. For example, let's imagine two people. One who has $50,000 saved, the other who has just saved their first $500. Then imagine both have their tires pop and need to buy new ones. Well, for the first person, it's simply an inconvenience and they can easily cover it. However, for the other, it's a complete reset and depletes their entire savings. Then imagine the next month they both need a filling. Well, the first person, again, it's just an inconvenience and they can cover it. However, the other person has to take out debt in order to cover it. And so now, if this person wants to get back to where they were, not only do they have to save another $500, but they also have to pay off their debt first. When you're just starting to build your nest egg, it is extremely hard to gain momentum because you don't have the tools to punch back when life hits you, and it just feels like you're being knocked down again and again and again. However, what you need to know about saving your first 1,000 or 2,000 is that it's not going to happen in a straight linear line going up with no surprises, but it's going to be a long, slow, jagged line up with many setbacks making it hard to move ahead. At this stage, you'll be taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. However, that doesn't mean you're losing. It just means you're playing in the arena of life. As Rocky Balboa said, "You, me, and nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done." And so if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not point fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him, her, anybody. Cowards do that and that ain't you. You're better than that. The third reason is saving feels pointless. Another thing that makes this stage so hard is when you're starting to build your nest egg, the moves are so small that saving those amounts of money just feels pointless. For example, when you're going from $0 to $100, it's hard to feel motivated because $100 doesn't really do anything. And it's very easy to instead decide to just spend that money to get some enjoyment in life. Most people don't even try to build their nest egg because taking these first steps just feels pointless. However, it's important to note that these small amounts aren't pointless, but they're foundational. Although saving your first $100 or $200 won't change your life, it most definitely will change you because $100 proves that you can start, $200 proves that you can persevere, and $500 proves that you can delay gratification. And although saving your first $1,000 might seem insignificant, you do unlock many milestones on this journey. At 0, you unlock being debt-free. At 500, you unlock having your first line of defense. And at 1,000, you unlock having a basic emergency buffer. And as you cross each milestone, it becomes all the easier to reach the next one. And so if you're at the beginning of your journey, trying to save your first $1,000, but having trouble to persevere because it all seems pointless, know that the steps that you are taking today are the most foundational of your entire journey. And although you won't see much results in this period, know that these are necessary steps to get you to where you want to be. And once you finally get there, you will most definitely look back and know that those steps were 100% worth it. So keep persevering. The fourth reason is you feel every dollar. Another thing that makes going from 0 to 10,000 so hard is that you feel every single dollar you save. Every dollar you save feels like you're saying no to something else. A no to a night out with friends, a concert you really want to go to, or a new item you really wanted. When you're building that first $10,000, it feels like saving is just another word for deprivation. And the truth is, you're right. Reaching your first $10,000 is all about deprivation. It's about saying no to things that you really want to do. However, it's important to understand that this is crucial to the process. Because unless you deprive yourself, you'll always be stuck, running in place, waiting for the next paycheck to come. You'll always barely be making it, never truly enjoying life, and every decision you make will come with a tiny bit of guilt attached to it. It's important to understand that $10,000 is all about deprivation. However, it's also important to understand that this period is not all for nothing, but you're making these choices for a better tomorrow. So you're able to say yes more to freedom, to peace of mind, and to opportunities. When you're saving these first small amounts, it means saying no to a lot of things. However, it's important to understand that this is only temporary. And as you gain more financial security in life, you'll be able to say yes to a lot more without all the guilt being attached because you can afford it. And the final reason is it's 100% on you. The first 10K is the part of your journey where you have no safety nets, no direction, and no momentum. And so the effort that you have to put in is massive. You have to learn how to budget, to say no, and to keep going when it all feels pointless. And you also have to be extremely self-motivated because there is no applause when you skip a takeout meal. Nobody is patting you on the back when you put $20 in your saving account. But the thing is, although this process is incredibly slow and difficult, it's also the stage where you grow the most as a person, because when you build something from nothing, you build resilience, you build confidence, and you build character. And so if you are in the process of saving your first 10K, know that it is the most slowest, most difficult, and most frustrating part of your entire financial journey. But also know that this stage is the foundational stage because it lays everything that comes after. But once you push through and ultimately get your first $10,000, know that everything is going to become a lot easier because your habits become cemented. Your progress compounds, and you no longer have to fight as hard for every dollar. And I can guarantee that if you persevere during this stage, keep moving when it all seems pointless, and eventually save your first $10,000, it will 100% be worth it. So keep moving, don't give up, and do what needs to be done to save your first $10,000 because this is the hardest part. And with that, muchas gracias, que tengan un buen día, nos vemos, chicos.